You know, the balls have been carrying like, you know, with that wind blowing in, everything's been shading and hooking to the third base foul side. That's a long way to go to make the, you know, to make a play on that ball there.
Ryan Terry, 3-year starter, contact hitter, second baseman. He's a senior. First pitch down low, ball 1. Fouled away, count goes even. I spoke of those 8 seniors. All of them were significant players last year. When Morris reached the Elite 8, they were knocked out early by Belleville West. And of course, yesterday they avenged that loss of a year ago by defeating Belleville West. And then their road continued with a win over Crystal Lake South by a score of 1-0 earlier today.
Well, you know, you get in a state tournament like that, and you know, they had basically juniors last year, and you know, that experience carries a lot coming into state tournament play. You can play a little more relaxed in that type of a series.
The Morris Redskins jumped out to a 31-0 start. We mentioned the record over the last 3 years in the Open, 108-9. Now, some people will say, well, they play in the little 7 because there are critics around the state, but I don't care where you play. 108-9 is quite impressive.
You still have to be able to get people out and have consistent pitching day in and day out, and he's had that, and that is a remarkable season record for 3 years. I just take 1 year.
How about that? Take 1 year with over 30 wins. They've had 3 in a row. 2-2 the count to Ryan Terry. Dolls shaking off the sign from David Sloan. Now Terry will retreat from the batter's box.
Sometimes you got to play a little mind games with the hitters as a pitcher. You got to shake off signs and make them think a little more, and that's, you know, why you step out of the box and regain your thought and get your composure and step back in and be ready to hit again.
Count goes full. 3 runs in the top half of the first inning for the York Dukes. That's 1 more run than it has been scored the whole tournament against the Redskins, and they've got their first base runner. First walk given up this evening by Jeff Dahl. And here's a perfect situation for Kelly Dransfeld. You know it's going to come throughout the night every time he comes to the plate, but he has to be upset with himself because he didn't have his control early on. Walked the first 2 men. That led to a 3-run inning. Hey, let's get a good swing on the ball and get your team right back into it. Well, then you can go relax on the mound.
This is where kids have to learn to separate the ball game. You know, when you're playing defense, you're defense. You don't think about what you did at the plate. When you're at the plate, you don't think about what you did out in the field. So you have to separate the game every time. In the same way with the pitch, if you get a call at the plate that you didn't like, you thought should have been a ball and they called it a strike, you got to forget that and be ready for the next pitch.
Dransfeld, as you saw, and that wasn't a typo. 504 batting average. Ryan Terry gaining some attention over at first base. This team loves to steal bases. They have set a state record with over 290 stolen bases. Matter of fact, Denny Steele told me they're approaching the national record in steals.
That's amazing to have that many steals in a season. And throughout this tournament, they've been very aggressive on the bases. And they run very well. They're very heads up, smart base runners, and that's why they're here in the championship game.
And quickly, I know exactly what the skipper's thinking. You know they're going to steal. You know they're going to try to get to you mentally. Just calm down because we got a 504 hitter at the plate.
Well, he's telling them too, you know, don't worry so much about him. You know, we've got a 3-run lead. Let's concentrate on the hitter and, you know, don't focus all the attention at first base. We got a good catcher. He can throw the ball, and, you know, we can get him out. So let's just hold him close, but we don't necessarily have to throw over as much as. I think he's, you know, dividing his concentration too much to first base right now. I mean, you got a 3-run lead. You don't have to do that.
Doug Mulaney in his 4th year as head coach at York High School. It's interesting, he said to me before today's game, he said, we need to keep Morris under 3 runs. Well, that may turn out to be very true as they put up the 3 spot in the top half of 1. 1-0 the count. Runner on first, well, 1 out.
It changes the complexion of the ball game when a team jumps out 3-0. I mean, there's a lot of things you know you can't normally do that you've done, you know, throughout the season. You know, it'll be a lot better if you're starting off with, you know, 0-0.
And the Dukes have scored some runs, that's for sure, in the tournament. Strike called, 2-1 the count. 12-1 over New Trier, 17-3 earlier today over St. Lawrence. Just 9 hits in that game, but 9 runs scored in the 6th and 7th innings. The 2-1. And the count goes to 3-1.
I think you might see him go here. I think there's a good pitch to run on. You know, a pitcher doesn't want to walk. He's going to come in over the plate with the ball. The hitter's going to be ready. It's good hitting pitch, good hitter's pitch to hit.
Right back at the pitcher, knocked down nicely by Dahl. He throws to second. They go for the double play. It won't even be close. He holds up his throw. Wisely done by the shortstop, Matt Whitten, but a good job done by Jeff Dahl to knock down that baseball and pick off the lead runner.
This ball's hit hard back at Jeff Dahl. And he gets the glove up to block it, knock it down, and it's in time for 1 at second. Terry did a nice job of helping to break up that double play.
That brings up the cleanup hitter, number 19, Mark Riccitti. He's a senior, .302 average. Swings at the first delivery, out towards Jim Stamper in right field. He's under it and hauls it in, and that will retire the side. So the York Dukes get out of trouble in the first inning, and after 1 complete here in the 1993 state championship game, it's York 3 and Morris nothing. The broadcast rights to this evening's Class 2A championship game have been granted to Sports Channel by the Illinois High School Association solely for the entertainment of our viewing audience. Any reproduction or retransmission of this event without the written consent of the IHSA and Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. Mike Goldberg, along with longtime head, looking towards the sweep. Realistically, they need to win 2 of the 3 games to be played at Chicago Stadium to get that three-peat. We're talking high school baseball right now. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. The Dukes of York leading the Redskins of Morris by a score of 3-1. David Sloan had an RBI double in the 1st inning. And he's going to have his second base hit. A liner right up the middle for Sloan.
A nice hit right up the middle. Nice swing.